Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Community Voice. I'm your host, Keith Parris. Yeah, we were sitting here, and there's a part of our opening that gets to Padam, and they telling me I need to get ready. They said, well, we at Padam.
Wow.
That's the new being harassed by my colleague.
He been punched this morning.
Oh my God, pinched the whole thing. You know, the abuse that I take when I come here. I'm just trying to be a professional, just trying to do my job. You know. Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Debo. Good morning, Jermaine.
Good
Clark,
morning,
good morning. Michelle.
That dude in the other room, man.
In the other room.
Yeah, from the other
To the
room.
brother from around the way. Good morning.
Keep that up. You're going to be in the upper room.
Yeah, the upper room. Oh, man. Let me do this real quick. Do I do it real quick or do I do it real quickly?
I don't know. Be cautious now because Christopher will call and give you English 101.
Man, back me up. So let me do this quickly. Proper. Addy. Get your adverbs here. I used to love Schoolhouse Rock.
I'm
just a Bill.
Yes. And I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
You learn so much. You know, and well, I guess it was an instructional cartoon, so
yeah.
We appreciate
Who was
that.
Singing that though, man? Because the brother could sing.
Yeah, he could sing.
He sang a little bit.
Yeah, he had some feeling in that guy.
Yeah. So let me shout out my pastor, the Right Reverend Dr. Russell Bennett Williamson. Yesterday was his 92nd birthday.
Wow.
And we had so they did a ice cream and cake social for him last night. Man, we just had an august attendance in terms of ministers, Reverend Dr. Fred Carruthers, Reverend Dr. Archie Ivy, Reverend Dr. Demetrius Williams, Reverend Dr. John Walton. There's a lot of doctors up in the house.
Lot of doctors.
Pastor Steve McVicker, Pastor Gill, and me. And
then there was Keith.
They had asked me when I came in. Pastor said, "Keith, can you bless the the food?" And so I said, "Well, went to Catholic school, so I did a Catholic blessing."
Wow.
I couldn't do it in Latin. Latin has been outlawed, so I couldn't do it in Latin. But yeah, just 92 years. This man. It's amazing. And, he had a friend. They go back to when they were 6 years old.
Wow.
Down in Tennessee and made their way up. And but the work that he does. So shout out.
You saying the friend was in attendance?
Yes, he was there. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and again, people know my mom celebrated her 91st birthday Sunday. So, man, long livers, state of Tennessee. Great state of Tennessee. So, yeah, let me do this. I wanted to read something that it's Wednesday, so I can get away with this on Wednesday. I want to read I was asked to give a prayer at the event that they had at Holy Redeemer. What I could never pronounce. What is the art center? Alpama. And they asked. So I want to. I am getting so frustrated. Debo and I endured the last year of Donald Trump's administration in 2020. And started in 2019, right, Debo?
Yeah.
Just every day, this dude would give us something.
You coined the phrase that said he was the gift that
kept on giving for radio. That was great. So even if I didn't have anything to talk about, he would give me something to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But I am, and I'm not an alarmist. The sky is not always falling. It's but I am concerned by where we're going, the direction that we're going in this country, a lot of different levels. And Rome was not destroyed from outside its borders. Rome was destroyed within its borders. And all it takes is you can get a Nero, you can get a Caligula, you can get a corrupt leader. Because again, we live in the world of opposites, right? If you get Barack Obama, you get Donald Trump. And we certainly now have gotten Donald Trump. But even in our own community, there is a lot of pain, there is suffering. And so I just want to read this prayer that I did at that event there. And it's on, and I had the responsibility of praying for healing in our community. Eternal, gracious, and loving God, first we honor and praise you. We come before you today with our hearts broken, yearning for healing in our beloved community. We acknowledge the brokenness we see around us. We acknowledge the divisions, the conflicts, the moments of discord that separates us one from another. So we ask your forgiveness for the times we have fallen short, when our words of actions have contributed to these rifts instead of building bridges of understanding and compassion. Endow our leaders with wisdom and discernment, equipping them to address the root causes of division and eliminating injustice, that they may govern with integrity, working for the well-being of everyone in our beloved community. Touch the hearts of those who are hurting, those who are marginalized, those who are struggling with fear, filled with anger, deep resentment, shrouded in hopelessness. We ask that your spirit of love, the power of your divine spirit, bring healing and restoration to the beloved community. We ask for the provision of your strength and the fortitude to continue to work for justice, work for full equality, and work for opportunity for all in our beloved community and for them to thrive. We offer this prayer with the firm belief and the supreme confidence that you are able to do immeasurably more than we all could ever ask or imagine. Now may the words of our mouths and the thoughts and meditations of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, because you are our strength and you are our Redeemer. Amen. Amen. Ashe. That was the prayer that I read, calling for community healing. And as I read this prayer, I'm sitting there looking. I got a misspelling here. You know how to spell sight?
Sight?
Yeah, sight is spelled S-I-G-H-T. I spell sight S-I-T-E. You're so ignorant, Keith. You're so ignorant. But this whole idea of what community healing. And there's a song that it's called Heal the Land. And it was based on 2 Chronicles 14:7. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves, pray, seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will heal the land. That is that was a prayer of dedication, part of the dedication of the temple. Solomon was saying, and what Solomon was saying, that when we get in trouble, here's what we need to do. That we first be humble enough to understand that there is a problem. And then seek God. And then here is the key word, to turn. That means we have to take some action to turn away from the thing that's causing the hurt, that's causing the discord, that's causing all the need for healing in our community. And I know that it's just uphill. Michelle said something yesterday that it's like it's hard watching the news, because man, just every day it just seems like it's something. Now look, the world has always been a violent place. The violence is not new. Violence is not new. We've always had the poor. But we're in a situation in America where I think we're better equipped than maybe other societies to deal with those ills. One has to wonder, Trump said something yesterday that we should be very frightened about. When they was asking him about either him firing Ms. Cook or about putting troops on the streets, he said, "I'm president. I can do whatever I want to do." That wasn't lost on me. And when people, Joe Scarborough said something this morning where there was all these people who said that they're independents and they kind of held their nose and they voted for Trump. You know, there's a reality out here that we need to accept, that there are many people in this country who are down with what Trump is doing. We need to accept that. And I don't know what it's going to take for them to get woke, to see what in fact is being perpetrated. Trump yesterday, when Julia was talking about how the state of Mississippi now has the highest infant mortality rate in the country, that to the point that they've declared an emergency. The state of Mississippi, for whatever reasons, never wanted to take any federal funds. Back in the day when we were still doing AFDC, they purposely took the minimum amount of AFDC, because this idea that people get on AFDC and they don't want to work, that's not the reality. Now, there's some people on AFDC that don't want to work. Hell, I had a job and I didn't want to work.
I mean, if we gonna be honest, we was forced to work for 400 years and we can sit on our tail if we want to.
And then even to say that black folks are lazy, I'm like, all that free labor you got?
Like, what is you talking about?
But the reality is that the jobs are not there. If the jobs are there, we have people who are not equipped to even work the jobs. There is a systemic failure of urban public education, where, you know, we don't have what kids at the minimum. They couldn't even fill out a job application, right? So I just can't get frustrated. I just have to figure out what my role should be. And I think we all have to figure out what our role should be in bringing healing to the community, because I'm getting real frustrated that every day I look up and there's another crash, somebody running from the police.
Yeah, man.
You know, and you get the frustration. Let me, as I babble, let me also, you know, they did an interesting graphic where, you know, Trump is talking about he's already put troops on the streets in Washington, D.C. They're guarding the monuments just in case somebody tries to steal them. And then when they put the troops on the streets in L.A., right? I don't know if you all remember when I was talking about this. There is something called posse comitatus. Posse comitatus. Posse comitatus is this constitutional prohibition of putting U.S. troops on the streets unless there is martial law has been declared. We saw that, those of us who were back here in the 60s, 1967, July, here in Milwaukee, where martial law was a curfew, martial law was enacted, and that justified then putting the National Guard on the streets, putting the National Guard on the streets in order to deal with the riot in 1967. It happened all over the country. We saw it again in 1968, where certainly in Washington, D.C., they had troops on the streets to deal with the riots after the Martin Luther King assassination. Posse comitatus is Latin for the power of the county and can refer to the historical practice of a sheriff gathering citizens to enforce the law, or to modern far-right extremist groups. The more prominent meaning today is posse comitatus, which is the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878, U.S. federal law that limits the use of federal military personnel for domestic law enforcement purposes, with the exception of being authorized by Congress. Now, the purpose of the law in 1878 was to restrict the use of the Army and Air Force in 1878 for domestic law enforcement and prevent them from acting as civilian posses. To prevent the abuse that occurred when the military was used extensively in civil law enforcement during and after the Civil War and construction. Key restrictions. The act prohibits the use of federal military to enforce laws unless expressly authorized by the Constitution or an act of Congress. Congress can and has made exceptions allowing military involvement for certain domestic purposes, such as cases of domestic violence, protecting federal property, or for certain law enforcement assistance. The Coast Guard is a significant exception with this broad law. And that's probably when you see the drug enforcement that's being done by the Coast Guard. Immigration enforcement is done by the Coast Guard because now they're no longer under the Department of Defense. They're now under Homeland Security. Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning. I just had a quick question since you're on this subject. I want to know if you're aware of the King Alfred's plan, and if you are, can you explain it? All right, thanks. Bye-bye.
Yeah, man, boy, you taking me back 50 years. Let me pull it up. I do know what he's talking about. The King Alfred plan. Is the King or is it the Prince Alfred plan? Let me do the Alfred plan. But what it is there is this provision or which would allow. Yeah, here we go. Oh, okay. All right. It ain't real. Okay. Let's see. The King Alfred plan. Now here, I'm taking this from Wikipedia. The King Alfred plan is a fictional CIA-led scheme supporting an international effort to eliminate people of African descent, invented by the author John A. Williams in the novel The Man Who Cried I Am. Williams described it as a government plan to deal with the threat of black uprising in the United States by cordoning off black people in the concentration camps in the event of major racial incident. And that's why I said it takes me back 50 years, because when I was at Parkman, we talked about this. All right. So the King Alfred plan first appeared in Williams's 1968 novel, The Man Who Cried I Am, an account of the life and death of Richard Wright. In the afterword to the later editions, Williams compares the King Alfred plan to the intelligence program devised by J. Edgar Hoover, COINTELPRO, in the 1960s to monitor the movements of black militants. It also bears similarity to the rumors in the early 1950s surrounding the McCarran Act, an anti-communist law which political subversives were to be rounded up, placed in concentration camps during a national emergency. When his novel was first published, Williams photocopied portions of the book detailing the King Alfred plan and left copies in subway car seats around Manhattan. As a result, the word of the King Alfred plan spread throughout the black community. The truth of its existence was often assumed to be unchallenged. Performers and musicians, Gil Scott-Heron created the song King Alfred Plan, including his 1972 album Free Will, that takes the plan at face value. Jim Jones, the head of the Apostolic Socialist People's Temple, discussed the plan at length in numerous recordings of his rant-style speeches, both in the United States and in Jonestown, in Guyana, treating it as completely genuine. In an interview with Jet, Williams explains that he developed the idea when thinking about the questions, what would any administration do in a situation where a large segment of the population was discontented and tearing down the neighborhood, threatening the order and the established regime? It might be appropriate today. As a matter of fact, I'm going to order the book. But I do remember us having that discussion at Parkman. I do remember Jim Jones in some of his rants talking about this particular plan where you would round up people, particularly of color, because of the discontent that they were expressing. So, again, thank you, man, for bringing that up. Like I said, historically, I do remember us having this discussion. And remember, I'm in junior high school, and we're talking about this at the blackest junior high school in America, Francis Parkman Junior High School. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Good morning. You said a prayer this morning, which was very beautiful. Thank you. That was one of the best I've heard in quite a while. And my second question is, you said, I like the scripture that you reminded us of from back and what's going on now. And Second Chronicles, but I could not remember the completion of it. You did say Second Chronicles. What was the chapter and the verse?
Second Chronicles 7:14.
Okay. And that was very beautiful. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, have a great day.
Hey,
Goodbye.
You too.
Man, that was a perfect time to raise an offer.
Oh man, where's it gonna go? What's it going to though?
Well, let's go into the church need a new door. So we're gonna raise the church need a new door fund.
You know, and I'm going to also talk about Katrina. It just so happened I was on vacation that week.
Wow.
Staycation. So I watched it from beginning to end. I had an opportunity to meet General Russell Honore. Dude had the biggest hands ever. I had never seen a man with hands that big. Got a chance to meet him at a veterans event, and everyone remembers how he came in and how he dealt with that. But yeah, we need to talk about that because they're talking about now decimating FEMA. Everybody remembers Brownie.
Yeah.
You know, where you figure FEMA's no big deal. We put the most incompetent people there. We'll hide them over there. And then we have one of the worst natural disasters ever. And people suffered. There's a documentary on reopening of the Superdome.
Yeah, I seen that.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
And how they had a lot going on. Yeah. And I always thought, man, and one of the players talked about that where, you know, you go in and you realize people died here.
Yeah.
You know, and then there were the people who got caught on the bridge trying to get out, and the white parishes, Jefferson Parish, had armed people who basically shot at, and there were people who died on that bridge from gunshots.
Yeah.
You know, it was an ugly period. It showed how George Bush, you know, we found out George W. Bush wasn't ready for prime time with 9/11. And then we also found out he wasn't ready for prime time when Katrina hit. He was in Texas on vacation and he flew over. And then there's that moment where they have a press conference and T.D. Jakes and others are standing there and never said a word. And then you had people like Anderson Cooper who made their way in because the military said they couldn't get in because they were snipers, which we turned out to find out there weren't snipers. The snipers that you should have been focused on were those white folks who wouldn't let black folks get to safety crossing that bridge. You're listening to Community Voice. The phone lines are open, 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
You're inside Community Voice on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
You remember those player pianos?
Yeah.
And people be getting down like they playing, but it's a player piano. As I do my air piano. Did you ever play air guitar?
Yeah. I play air guitar. I play air drum. I mean, I just do it.
Like the game you played air guitar?
No.
Yeah.
I've never played the game.
You know, because that was a game.
Yeah.
Air guitar.
Game,
okay.
Yeah.
Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Keith.
Good morning.
I just wanted to tell you, when we went to South Africa in '94 after apartheid had ended, it was what you talked about in that component of the King's plan. They had used it. Oh, yeah. And, the townships were developed in ways in which they could be controlled. They even made sure that between the townships, they could get tanks and other equipment through. So they had certain distances. They allowed the townships to be distant from each other. They had a total control system in terms of how everything was laid out physically and site-wise. And so there's your word, SITE, site-wise, because they needed to have total control of the townships in case the Black South Africans would demonstrate or they would have a rebellion. And so you think about what they did with the freeway system in America, mm-hmm. because they planners specifically laid them out. So they took out majorities of these Black enclaves. And then they
but didn't they also and I don't know how much of this is a rumor, because part of the interstate, the whole genesis for America's interstate system was based on Eisenhower's experience during World War II and the Autobahn, and he was so impressed because the Germans had built the Autobahn so they could quickly move their equipment. There are some who, conspiracy-minded, said that it was purposely run through areas where you could possibly have social unrest, and that tended to be the Black community.
Yeah, that's true. And, and even in Milwaukee back in the 70s, one of my friends, he worked at DCD back as a student intern. And one day he came upon a plan, which I had it a while, but somebody stole it that wanted to look at it. But the plan said, we're going to move all of these Black people out to the Northwest side, and they were going to seize the Central. And all of that did happen, but they didn't seize the Central. They're trying to do it now. But there was all kind of plans that people had to control the Black community, control its growth, what it was going to look like. And those were not accidents. They were land planners. Even in the housing. Do you remember there was a famous project in St. Louis, I think it was called Pruitt-Igoe? Mm-hmm. It was the one that the designers decided that because these were poor people, the elevator only needs to stop on every other floor.
And then wasn't it also part of that public housing, and then you saw it on steroids in Chicago when they built Robert Taylor, was that it was vertical, right?
Yeah,
so you stack people on top of people as opposed to having it horizontal where you spread people out. And then of you in their minds, they're containing, because, and again, I don't know, I only heard from people who lived in Chicago, there were parts of Robert Taylor where the cops wouldn't go in. The gangs controlled it, right? But you said something that's very interesting, contain. There's a reason why, if you were born in Milwaukee at a certain time, many Black folks knew other Black folks, connected to other Black folks, because we were contained. There were 1 million in by 1970 census, there was 1 million people in Milwaukee. That's when Milwaukee was at its apex in terms of population. Black people only made up 10% of that population, which is still 100,000 people. There's a lot of people, but we were contained. So you either went to school with somebody, people came up from different states in the South, so people, my wife go, how do you know all these people? Say, we're on top of each other. How could you not know each other?
we all went to the same schools.
We all went to the same
places
schools.
to dance, to play, the same playgrounds, and there was such control. Even when my mother had a tavern on the corner of 8th and Center, and when they decided to put the freeway in, they relocated her. And we ended up on Titonia, 3100 block of North Titonia.
My grandmother was on Center Street between 7th and 8th Street. That's where 43 is now. She got relocated. You know, I mean, it was, well, and that's what happens. I mean, if you go in and you put in a highway, you know, you do eminent domain, you go in, you take the properties because, you know, you're going to build those projects. Look, I tell people this is so crazy. I used to think West Lawn, because I'd never seen it, was a suburb. I had no idea that West Lawn was the projects, right? That's how far out, because we weren't that far out. And you know what's really strange? You remember Robbie's, right?
Yeah.
Bobby Thomas. He had a location. He had a location on Titonia Center. He had a location at you remember that little strip mall that separated National T, and then there was a theater, the Century Theater, and there's this little mall, and at the end of that little walkway down at the bottom, he had a Robbie's, but he also had a Robbie's on 76 and Silver Spring back in the day, which was, wow, you know, it was like, but yeah, if you out that far, and I can remember some, because a lot of people started moving northwest, probably the early mid 70s. Because I know there were people who went to Madison. They had just built Madison. They built Parkman. I think they built Hamilton. And that there were people who were moving out that way. But that was, you know, and I hate to call names, but talk to people who were going to Custard back in the early 70s. How many black people were at Custard in the early 70s?
Yeah, I understand. And then, you know, on top of that, that was the whole plan. They started building all of them apartment buildings in these big complexes on the northwest side. So you're almost away. And I remember when my auntie, who lived on 18th and Free Branch, I remember when we went out there, we thought we was in the suburbs then. What was that called? Blackfish Bay.
Yeah.
You thought
over by Rufus King.
Look at this. Yeah. We thought, man, we need to go over auntie's house. This is
right. That was experience. Like anybody that lived. We were like one of the kind of some of the first black families to move past Burleigh, you know, because we had Garfield Park right there. And then, but I never went up past Burleigh. You know, I always went back south. And I lived my entire childhood was in 53212. That's just how contained we were. Most people, and then, you know, we began to expand and then they had to figure out what to do with those apartment buildings, because apartments were basically, it'd be a starter, right? You got a young family, you move in an apartment building, you begin to save money, build up your credit, and then you buy your first house. But now you had people who, when they're looking at people going in those apartment buildings, a lot of these people are dealing with a certain level of poverty, right? And so some of these apartment buildings are, you know, they're getting Section 8, you know, so it was, there's been certainly in the last 50 years, there's been this almost demographic change in Milwaukee, especially when it comes to the descendants of enslaved Africans. When we were coming along, though, it didn't feel like it. Milwaukee had, back in the 60s and early 70s, had one of the more vibrant black middle classes in America, you know, because of A.O. Smith, Rexnard, all these other corporations where, you know, people can make real good money.
And then on top of that, the one person who put a chink in the armor of what the city had planned was Beachy Brooks in Hilliard Park.
Yeah.
You know, that wasn't supposed to happen. And they tried to do everything to keep him from building those homes there. But that threw a wrench in their whole plan to kind of seize everything as far north as North Avenue, which is starting to happen now. So it's interesting when you think about planning. I think about architecture and urban development, that you can see certain things start to happen again, and you see the examples that were used in other countries where they needed to control their minority population.
And I am not naive. I do know that there is a plan. If there was an organized resistance to America, that there's not a plan, because most people will do this. They will round up the leaders. You know, I don't know if people were paying attention when they first did the hostage prisoner swaps at the beginning of the conflict in Gaza, but there were so many young Palestinians that had been just arbitrarily detained, you know, by the Israeli government, and that they were basically put into concentration camps because that would be the leadership, that would be the resistance. Every society, I'm sure, has something, because status quo requires control. And if you're ever a threat, so COINTELPRO, you know, where he's a martyr, he's a saint, and he's a prophet. Chairman Fred Hampton, because what Chairman Fred Hampton was on was something where he was able to say, look, we can get into all of these kind of external things, what you look like, but it don't matter what you look like when you po, because you po. Yeah. It don't matter what your complexion is when you're hungry, because you're hungry. And so they call it the Original Rainbow Coalition. And I don't know if you've ever seen that documentary. It is great. It's called The Original. I don't know where you can go out, Google it, find out where you can see it. But there is a meeting that they have, because I didn't know this until watching that documentary. Now, we all think that white folks are the same. We all believe that white folks are the same. And that's part of the cancer of racism. So you think all white folks are the same. And so then you and I, because of hyper-segregation, do not know that there's gradations within European cultures when it comes to other Europeans. The people were coming from West Virginia. They were coming from Ohio. They were coming from Kentucky to go to Chicago to work. These are descendants of Anglo-Saxons. These are the Scot-Irish. When they got to Chicago, they moved them on the north side. The way that those white folks were living on the north side was the way that black folks were living on the west side, right? Quiet as it's kept, because we think like all white. No, it don't work that way. And so I learned this when I got to Dominican. There are ethnic differences among Europeans, and there's condescension. So the people I went to school with were Irish. They were German primarily. They looked down on the South Side Poles. I mean, I would hear so many Polish jokes at that school. I can only imagine what the Negro jokes were like, but I know what I was hearing with the Polish jokes. And then all of a sudden I go, oh. And then I took one of the more seminal courses in college. I took White Ethnics in America, and I began to understand this artificial construct of whiteness. All Europeans were not conferred whiteness when they got to America. That what Michelle and I was talking about Bill Russell, why Bill Russell hated the city of Boston so much. Well, there is a very deep history there of the Irish, right? The Shanty Irish, who had issues with descendants of enslaved Africans. Because when black folks started going to Boston to work, they were using it to that whole divide and conquer. They're coming to take your jobs. It sounds familiar. The replacement theory and how then they used it. But guess what? Those Irish folks, you see Danny Wahlberg, you know, they're part of those white Irish folks there in Boston. And when you look, they dealt with the same issues other than racism that black folks in Boston dealt with. Because
even when they had the integration of their schools, it was the same as the South. You could see
the
trying to kill and call them
Desegregation Act. And again, look at the history. And part of Milwaukee's school system, in order to support segregation, was based on Boston. What are you talking about, Keith? Well, those of us who've been here at a certain point in our lives realize we had something here called junior high schools. Not middle schools, we had junior high schools.
Junior high schools, right.
And the junior high schools went up to the 9th grade, okay? Which meant that if I went to Parkman, and I did 3 years at Parkman, I had to go to King.
Yep.
Unless I transferred, because they had districts. That's how they enforce segregation. So if I wanted to go to Marshall,
you went to King, and then south side of Burleigh, you went to Dorr.
Right. But I had to go there. So if you went to Fulton, the feeder school for North, excuse me for saying Fulton, but that's what we called it, you went to North. Yep. Roosevelt, you went to North. And then if you got down the hillside, and I'm trying to think what would be over there, Roosevelt, right?
Lincoln. They went to Lincoln.
They went to Lincoln because Lincoln had a junior and senior high school.
Right.
So it was all there. And then we don't talk about it. We were talking about the closings of those pick and saves. It was interesting. 3 of them were on the south side. Go to South Milwaukee. Go to Cudahy. When I worked in public assistance, and we used to have an office on 15th and National, and then we moved it to 9th and Mitchell, primarily because people would go to the office closest to them. For the people on the south side, they would come to 15 West National. And then I encountered poor white people, right? Poor white people. Because we only think it's only black and brown people that are poor. Now, poor white people do a little bit better than poor black and brown people and Asians. But the reality is America is based on class. And then we also use race to reinforce class structure.
Yeah, I remember when we lived on Walnut Street. I remember the first time I saw a white family walking by, and they was poor. And I asked my mama, how does that exist? Because that wasn't the way I was brought up. I thought that they were all had money and was living good. And then I said, wait a minute, they living no different from us. And so, yeah, it was a revelation for me. And that was the 60s when I saw that.
Dude, I went to Kentucky. My dad was killed 67, going 68, early 68. So we go down. I had never seen poor white people. I'm talking poor. We seen poor. These folks were poor. And that's the anger. I was watching a documentary on Obama, and they were interviewing some coal miners, retired coal miners in West Virginia. And so the one coal miner, he was on the racist tip, man. He was coming at it. He started going after Obama. And this guy stopped him. He said, wait a minute. He said, that dude has done more for us than any other president. So people be surprised at how favorable, not areas, because some people they die in the will racist. I don't care what you do. You can invent cancer and kill and cure their mama. They don't care. Nigga's a nigga. But in their minds, because what did he do? The Affordable Care Act. So we had Social Security Act 1935. We had Medicare 1965. And then we had the Affordable Care Act 2009, 2010. What the Affordable Care Act did was it expanded health care into rural areas. If you read Hillbilly Elegy, though he doesn't give a lot of credit to Obama and the impact that it had on his people, talking about J.D. Vance, the fact that they opened up health clinics in areas that had been underserved. There's something called Mountain Dew teeth. Mountain Dew teeth dealt with all kind of health ailments because people would drink so much Mountain Dew, right? And the sugar content was so high in Mountain Dew, it would rot their teeth. Rot your teeth. What does rotten teeth do? It can impact your heart. It can impact your lungs, right? So just expanding that, dental care in rural areas, health care centers, and part of the ancillary benefit of setting up that expansion of health care was jobs. That's right. Right now in America, healthcare makes up 8% of our economy. That's just how significant and important healthcare is.
And the miners has had the whole issue of their lung disease.
Right.
From the coal.
And they had to fight every year to get Congress to reauthorize the Black Lung Act. Yeah. But they care about you.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. Thank you. Thanks for the conversation this morning.
Appreciate you, man.
Y'all be blessed. Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
I didn't come to preach.
That's a lot, man.
Because we deliver Gilligan from the island.
On the island. Ginger and a professor, too. The millionaire and his wife. The movie star, Professor and Marianne. Here on Gilligan's Island.
Here on Gilligan's Island. Well, if they're only going for a day trip, Why were the house packed for like they were going for months? You're listening to Community Voice. We'll take a break. We'll
That's
be
a
right
great
back.
observation. I didn't see that.
AURN. The 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
All right, welcome back to Community Voice, and I know you all have heard the ads for the upcoming class of 1975, Rufus King High School, Rufus King Generals, Blue and Gold, and my former classmate, Mr. Wayne Hibbler. What's happening, Wayne?
How you doing, Keith?
Man, I'm doing all right, man. How you?
I'm doing well. I don't have any complaints.
Wayne is here to talk about the 1975 reunion. So, well, it's 50 years. Seemed like yesterday, don't it?
A lot of times went by real quick.
Yeah, man.
But I was told to come out. I want to invite everyone to come out so we can see one another while we still can. We're at a point in life where we're viewing one another at funerals. And I think that's really nice when you can have an occasion, a happy occasion, and it's not a funeral. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone. And me and a small group of people, we tried to do everything we could to eliminate obstacles. If you are a member of the graduating class of 1975, there is no charge. If you bring your spouse or your other person, they'll pay $25. We kept it in the community. It's going to be held at 100 Gems, 6737 North Titonia. Your dress code, there is no dress code. Come as you are. We just want to see you. We want to spend time with you. We want to laugh, hug, and maybe even tell some old lies or whatever. We just want to have a good time.
We ain't updated our lives, man. In 50 years, we ain't updated our lives.
We might have a few good ones left.
Oh, man. Me and Victor Mans were talking, and we were talking about what was James's last name? Oh, man. He was at Parkman with us. But you saw, I'll play you one-on-one for $1. Oh,
James Owens.
James
Owens.
We in middle school, like, dude, ain't nobody got no dollar to be paying no one-on-one. If we beat you, no, you ain't got the dollar. But yeah, I mean, and it's interesting because there's a lot of folks who we were just talking about how the school system worked. Parkman was the feeder school for Rufus King, and so if you lived in that district, you were going to Rufus King.
That's true.
When I was a little guy, my guy Keith Reed, his sister she was at King, and we would go to football games, and there was a dude named Curtis Davis. This dude was a beast, man. He was so good. And I was when I graduated from college, I was a college recruiter, and I met this brother from Morgan State. He said, "You from Milwaukee?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Man, one of the greatest athletes in the history of Morgan State was Curtis Davis." Wow. He played with Mark Washington and went on to play with the Cowboys. But yeah, I mean, just to be able to get together while we're still living, we're not at a funeral. That makes all the difference in the world. So what day are we having this, man?
The occasion is September 13th, which is a Saturday. It's from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. And we're going to, as I say, have a good time, just enjoy one another.
So do people need to register?
We have a phone number set. Actually, you could come and pay at the door.
Okay.
But in fact, I don't even remember the number. That's how bad it is. We do have a phone number out that the radio's telling. Radio in WNOB will tell you what the phone number is. I don't remember it. That's where I'm at in life. But we just like to see everyone. You don't necessarily have to be a graduate of Rufus King to come out so we can see each other one another.
I'm coming. I'm not a graduate, but I'm coming because you know what? I got punked into going to the 73 reunion, which was actually very nice. Now the 74 people, I didn't trip them. I didn't get with them, but yeah, I'm definitely coming over because I see a lot of my classmates from Parkman who ended up there at King. I think Ernell was a year behind us. He might be class of 76, but the people in that class, man, it was, I was just talking to, I won't call his name, but I was asking about this one brother who I used to see when we dropped our God kids off. But yeah, Rufus King, class of 1975. Again, it's going to be at 100 Gems. That address is
6737.
6737
North Titonia.
Shout out 6. That's my guy. Yeah, and that's a beautiful venue. That is a beautiful venue, man. So again, September 13th, the 50th year reunion of the class of 1975 at Rufus King High School, held at 100 Gems. Wait, man, I appreciate it, man. Anything else we need to know?
No, I'm just would like to see as many people as I can. Come out and be with us. Enjoy a meal. Enjoy hugs, laughs.
Oh, y'all gonna have food?
Black people don't get together and not eat.
Okay. Y'all gonna have some food?
Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna have a mama and them.
Yeah, mama and them food.
Mama and them food. But it's gonna be a good time.
We appreciate you, man.
And I believe everyone comes out will enjoy themselves.
Well,
so come out and be with us.
Appreciate you, man. Always good seeing you.
Always good seeing you too.
All right. You're listening to Community Voice. We're gonna take a real quick break. And you got some music for me, man. Got some music for me, Mike. Cause it's hard out here for a pimp. All right, man. Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Just taking that bebop sound. 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 Just taking that bebop sound.
Miles Davis.
Man.
Doo-wop time.
I'm gonna get ready to drop the. I'm
Yeah.
gonna drop the on my side.
Drop the top on the side.
Drop the top
go
on the
right.
side. And I'm gonna bump it, dude. I'm gonna bump it, man.
Oh wow. Now that's funny. Ride down the street, see keep riding down Capitol
that
like
sound, man. And do that, do that sound.
like Keith.
Hey, man, black people can pull it off.
Oh yeah.
Black people can pull it off. That's our gift.
Yeah.
Because you be going like in normal situations, that'd be pretty jacked up. But we go like, dude pulled it off. He pulled it off, man. There's no planning with that. There's a real planning that went into it, man.
The drop top, and
the drop top,
and the
man.
spokes.
Dude, my godson and I, we just recently got a new vehicle. And the thing, I say it all the time, the thing that I look for in a vehicle is what that sound system sound like. And even in the car,
it's got to be one of the things you look for.
What is the other thing?
Leg room.
Oh yeah.
There's some
comfort.
Yeah.
And
how it look when you roll up and when you pull off.
Yeah. Is that frame rattling? You got some dudes. I used to say, man, you got more stereo than car. because that you be rattling all that vibration, man, because you don't have
stereo is worth more than the car.
Oh man, people, the investment that they put in, the investment that you put into a car. But even in our car, there's a little subwoofer in the car. So, because bass, I ain't saying bass is everything, but bass is important. Yeah. You say bass is everything. And thank you, Dirty South.
Oh, yeah.
I went to, I can't remember the name of this club down in Atlanta, and they had earthquake sound.
Strokers Only?
No, they had earthquake. Magic City.
Magic City.
For the wings. You go to Magic City. Hey. They're doing a documentary on Magic City.
Now, they do got the best wings.
I bet they do.
I'm not lying.
I bet they do.
Like, I actually, when I was in Atlanta, I didn't go for the debauchery that was going on. I went for the Laurie seasonings.
Yeah, you and Lou Williams. In the bubble. His dog is in the bubble.
City eating wings.
Right. And he's sitting up there with a drink in his hand.
Right.
In the bubble.
Yeah.
Because he was in Atlanta for a funeral.
Yeah.
He said, well, let me get some of these wings. Get them to go, dog. I'm sure they got to go.
Hey, but it tastes better than when you eat them there.
I guess.
It's something about
and he was lucky. Did he catch a suspension? Did he get a game? Yeah, man. Was those wings worth the game for your game check?
No, but not. So how much? I know he was getting paid in the millions. So he was doing real game checks was like 89,000, 100,000, something like that.
I guess, man, if you got it, you ain't gonna miss it
until
you miss it, right? Until it's gone, you ain't gonna miss it, man. 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. There has been another mass shooting.
That's what scares me.
And this is in Minneapolis.
That's what scares me right there.
Yeah.
That right there, man.
Wow. Catholic school there.
Annunciation Church?
Yeah, and Catholic school.
But that's crazy, man, because you think of sending your kids to school, sending your grandkids to school, and you don't think that somebody will walk in and try to harm
That's
kids,
what my mom said.
man.
She I think it was after the shooting in Connecticut, and my mom said, you send your kids to school, with every intention that they're coming home, and then they don't come home. And even with all of the horrific mass shootings that we see, there is no appetite to just put in the minimum gun controls. People act as if the Second Amendment is sacrosanct. We don't violate the Second Amendment. And that's crazy, man, because it is the firepower, man. It is, and I started the program off with, we've always had violence. But the instruments of destruction are so much more powerful. You get descriptions of what the bodies look like after a mass shooting, and look, AK-47s,
man,
they're built for war. They're built to kill,
and that's why I don't understand how this guy still has his ear on his head, getting hit by AK-47 bullet, grazed or not.
Yeah, it do some real damage. They thinking, it do some real damage. They think it was more that
the teleprompter.
That it hit him. You're right, man. Because
fight.
The way they do, people talk about the dum-dum bullet. Man. Just the damage that these guns can do. And again, they are weapons of war.
Yeah, well,
I mean, how much firepower do you need to bring Bambi down?
Anybody that with an AK-47, your intentions is for those bullets to rip through the body or whatever you're shooting at, because that's what it's gonna do. And when you got an AK and the bullet is this long and this wide and it's coming out of a barrel,
at a high velocity.
It's gonna go through anything, man. It's gonna go through metal.
We're gonna do damage. Caller, welcome to the program. Hello?
I'm sorry, I had to go in the bathroom because radio's locked. Y'all can hear me. Of course, I'm from Colorado, and they have never forgotten the Columbine shooting there.
Okay.
That was one of the first things that I remember when the kids were going to school. Last Sunday we prayed over the children in school, going back to school, and also we needed, prayer without works is dead. So we have teachers on both sides, of my family, my husband's side, and of course, my side of the family. The thing that bothers me the most is it's not talked about much. In California, it's like there's no ceiling there. The schools are like out in the open. Like there's no ceiling. There's just open doors. You can see the sky at the top, and they just go class to class. And then here in this state, I don't know if there's a plan on active shooter drills.
I think there is. There is.
I'm sure there are, but parents, I would like to know how many times, even though I don't have any children in school, I would like to know, what those plans are. I think that each parent should have a booklet and go on drills and show those parents, these are the drills. It's like, hey, you should have a fire extinguisher in your house, whatever the case may be. And let's get these children motivated. They pick up really quickly. Our children are not stupid. They are very bright. And whether they're white or black, they're pretty smart. And so my question to you, Keith, and the rest of the crew, because I know y'all have children and grandchildren, etc. What are we going to do in these meetings? Because I would like to get involved as well, in order to not have another Nauvoo where they stood outside that classroom out there in Texas and watch those children and the teachers get slaughtered, along with the rest of the, they just went in and they watched them and walked out like, this is too much for my grade area. I'm out of here. These police officers.
Well, they've changed the protocol now, where the response is you don't wait. You go towards the shooting. You gave Vivaldi. There was also where the young man down in Florida, where they showed the sheriff's deputy who covered, who didn't go in, and they're saying now you go in, you don't sit there. There's no negotiation. You go directly to it, and you try to eliminate the threat. Appreciate you, sister. Let me get this next caller.
So didn't he lose his job for that?
He lost his job, but then I think he got acquitted.
Yeah, because they were trying to charge him.
Yeah. Caller, welcome to the program. And Uvalde, the liability there is they come out, find out that there have been complaints about the locks on the door. The locks weren't working. I think that there was indifference there because it was primarily Hispanic children.
Yeah.
So and again, like people tell you, like if you go MPS, you can't get a gun in the building. Your issue is what happens when the kids get out on the streets.
Yeah.
That's where they're going to be dealing with a real threat. Yeah. Caller, welcome to the program.
Keith, it's very interesting that, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
it's very interesting that you brought the subject up. We were just talking about that in class. And one of the ladies was saying that how different it is, how we grew up, that this is normal to these kids, that they had these gun drills in school, which we would have never thought about when we were going to school. Now, by the time we made it to Parkman, I don't think we did that stuff no more, but I'm pretty sure.
Our civil defense drills where we had to go down in the basement?
That's so we were speaking about, because they were worried about what the atomic bomb getting dropped on us.
Exactly. Yep.
And you know what's funny, Keith, when I thought about that as I got older, that was a bunch of bull too.
Oh, duck and cover wasn't gonna do anything, man. I mean,
exactly,
you evaporated.
But they had us lining up in the hallways under chairs and all that stuff. But that's got to be real scary, Keith.
You know, a little trivia.
Send your child to school that you don't know if your child is coming home.
One of the real trivia. This is kind of trivia. Wasn't trivia, but it was a major change. There's something that's called MAD, mutually assured destructiveness, and it's a whole concept that was used. You know, you had the SALT I treaty, but it really went into effect under SALT II, which was this strategic limitation of nuclear weapons, and so. The MAD theory is that the thought of you unleashing nuclear weapons, the possibility is so great that becomes the deterrent. And so then missiles, which usually would be directed at military targets, would also be directed at civilian targets. So one of the things they did was they eliminated civil defense drills. That was one of the things that came out under SALT II. That they eliminated that because of mutually assured destructiveness. That, yeah, we'll hit you, but we're going to hit you back harder. And, you know, in war, you're not supposed to target civilians, right? Military installations, which makes what they're doing in Gaza even more horrific because they're going after hospitals with little pretense at all. And so because you're not, now, we began to see that rule. I don't know how you enforce it being violated, first by the Germans when they did the Blitz over Britain. You saw it then when Americans then firebombed Dresden. And then obviously we saw it with the dropping of the 2 atomic bombs at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? And so those whole things. But that was the whole concept. That's why I love Oppenheimer, the movie. If you know, a lot of people it's so poignant that if we ever unleashed nuclear weapons, the devastation would be, and it wouldn't be just immediate. There are people in Japan who were survivors of the initial blast that end up dying, you know, from cancer and other things within the year. When Chernobyl happened, Chernobyl was so toxic that the people had to go in and do the cleanup. They paid their families because these people are going to die. I don't know if people really understand that because we haven't been dealing with the Cold War since Reagan, right? But that possibility is out there. So when you hear people talking about, oh, we can just drop a nuclear device, it will set off a chain of events that this world might not ever recover from.
So let me ask you a question, because I think this dude is banking on this, and this is why he's doing that, because you just said Gaza, but Ukraine too. And so I know nobody really wants to get into a third world war.
Right.
But do you think this dude is crazy enough that he will drop a atomic bomb on somebody? Do you think he's that stupid?
Never say never.
No lie. Once one lets one go, everybody gonna let them go.
Didn't Goldwater say that the way that we should have dealt with Vietnam was just to drop some nuclear devices on it and just wipe them out? I think that I paraphrased this. Robert Kennedy used this. There's a Latin phrase that says that, well, axiom that says that we made a desert and we called it peace. What he's talking about is when Rome finally was able to regroup and deal with Carthage, not only did they expel them from Europe, They then went into Carthage and they destroyed everything and they poisoned the land that nothing else would ever be able to grow. We made a desert and we called it peace. And so that could be the reality. I will not say what a person will never do, because we just don't know. We would think that people have filters, but it's obvious that the person in the White House now does not have filters, does not care, right? Because he doesn't think he's personally going to be impacted by it, and then everybody else, they'll so it's on them.
Have you seen the movie Civil War?
Yeah.
Debo. Right, I have. Y'all seen the movie Civil War?
No, I haven't saw.
I went to the movies to see it, actually.
Really? Civil War? No, I haven't saw it, man.
Yeah.
It's breathtaking. And I don't know if you guys have watched this, and it seems to be lining up along with this 2025. There is a series called, and I've been saying this, and I don't know if anybody's watched, called Handmaid's Tale. Mm-hmm. But all of this seems to be going on right now, where it's wrapping up with this administration right now. Now, you know what I called and talked about yesterday? About the little boys.
Oh.
Guess who almost hit me yesterday?
What?
The little boys.
The Kia boy?
In the stolen car.
Yeah.
So I'm going straight up, about to make a left off of 24th Street on the hour. Mm-hmm. And what I try and do is, before I go through any stoplight, it's kind of like what you said, right out. I always wait.
Yeah.
They didn't slow down. They just hit the left turn to come up on 24th Street. And so this bothered me yesterday when I heard a resident genius yesterday that because you come on the radio and you use big words, you think you're smart. So there's a thin line.
Hey, you don't have to get all personal with me. I know we have some issues, baby. Don't we get all personal?
Keith felt some kind of way.
I felt a little sensitive about that, man. You hear that dog holler?
Now, your car was parked illegally, no tags, probably no overnight parking sticker, and on a flat tire.
Yeah, it's going.
But you're going to call for 2 weeks. You're going to call for 2 weeks belly aching about that. I'm calling to try and save these little boys' lives by trying to get the police to come and get this car before these boys get in it. And come to find out, Keith, this is the other thing. I was helping my grandsons with their homework, so I went watching my Ring camera. Guess whose backyard they was in looking through our cars?
Yours?
Them little boys.
So
the lady across the street, across the alley, said something to me yesterday, the other day. When I'm looking at my camera later on, they pulled a gun out on him.
On the old lady?
Well, she's about, I think she might be younger than me, but yeah, it did make a difference. And so what really bothered me, this is how bold they are. It's a duplex where she lives. The guy that lives downstairs was working in his garage with the garage door up. They were so bold that they didn't care he was sitting there. Come and look at me and my neighbors to roll up on our cars and look inside our other cars. That they were that bold to do that in front of him, basically daring him to say anything.
Yeah. See, man, I'm telling you, this is exactly what they're trying to do.
So you talking about locking some? So he getting mad about trying to lock somebody up in jail, where what you said right out. So us pork eating older people, and I love pork. So you can say, but the fact is that what are you talking about when we trying to save these little boys' lives before they take somebody's life or their life get taken?
Man, that sounds.
But, George, I had this
it
thought,
doesn't make any sense to me.
I had this.
And what do you think? Not what Elijah Muhammad thinks. What does Christopher think?
Oh.
Let me. But I had this thought, and you all can tell me if you disagree with it or not. I'm sure you will. If society doesn't care about those kids, why would we think that the kids would care about society?
I care about them. That's why I try to get
No. I'm not
contact
talking
in.
about you. I'm saying in general.
Yeah.
If society doesn't care about them, why would they care about society?
Yeah,
But
that's
we
a good
do
question.
care, Keith. Do you care, Keith?
No, George. Listen, 1 or 2 or 3, 5, 6, 7 people might care, but when you look at the dynamic of the community, the majority of the community is scared, so they don't care. They move out the way. They allow them to do this type of stuff and that they doing, and that's why these young guys. And when you was just talking, these young guys is trying to establish fear. They trying to put fear in everybody that's
Because
around.
of their sense of, because there's nobody there to tell them this is what real manhood is.
Exactly.
And so they're doing what, look,
TV.
Here's the thing about, why they talk about like the death rate. We don't have wars for these aggressive young men,
Right.
To go, and because we're talking hormones and a whole lot of things. But if society doesn't care, if we are not dealing with the systemic issues that negatively impact on their lives, this is going to really sound cold. If the parents don't care,
that part,
because
that
the parents, like, you are just an inconvenience. You are a byproduct of a relationship, and they're not looking at, because raising children is about raising them to be prepared for the future. You living in the right now. So then those kids can become sociopaths because society doesn't really care. And what society is going to say is that if you don't monitor your behavior, which is really difficult for teenagers, then what we will do is we will lock you up, right? And so, and I'm not justifying behavior, but I'm just asking, is this not a natural response to maybe not feeling cared for, not feeling value, trying to find value, and then unfortunately, then it turns into very negative behavior, because negative attention for some people is still attention.
Keith, let me say, I hear the music coming up real quick, but I was talking to one of the young guys yesterday, and he was saying, George, we get it now, because you used to get on us about our behavior. And I said, dude, I wasn't always grown. I was a knucklehead too. And so I had to have somebody get on me, because a lot of times, sometimes our parents don't know what we out here doing.
Oh, man.
Now, there are some parents that allow that stuff, but my parents didn't allow that. But some of the stuff, knucklehead stuff, I used to
That's why you do it on
doing
5th Street.
Yeah.
I came on your block and did it.
Right.
Right.
But
so
the
mama
thing
wouldn't know.
That if we just throw our hands up in the air, and I do think it's more people who want to help these kids than not. But sometimes when you like my neighbor yesterday, that probably did scare him yesterday. He probably, like, he told her, "Shut up! I don't want to get my house shot up."
Right.
Yeah.
So he got on her.
Yeah, they live in fear.
Right. All right, man.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks.
All right, you're listening to Community Voice. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Community Voice Caller. We thank you for your patience. Welcome to the program. Good morning. Good morning.
Hello?
Hey.
Yes. Well, you know something. I got a question I asked, actually. The man said that those kids out there in the car with a gun, what happens, man, if you kill one of them kids out here doing this stuff, man? I mean, what happens? I mean, you can't say nothing because they own your property, looking in your stuff, and they got a gun. What do? You pull your gun out and say, hey, what you gonna say when you pull your gun out? You gonna either squeeze it and be inconvenient downtown, face on the news, everybody in your business. Because I mean, what do you do? What do you do, man?
I hear you, man.
No, I'm asking a question.
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
But I'm glad you're honest, because you a professor and a genius. It's shocking that you don't have an answer. Because
you can offend me for my ignorance, but that's okay. I'm all right.
No, you're not ignorant at all. You're very brilliant, very bright, brother. Very bright.
The joke
I just had to call because I hear George talking about it. What do you do? Guess what? DC has already, last I checked, they confiscated already so far 111 guns. Now, I might be up more than that now. 111 guns, and you know DC got some of the hardest gun laws in the country. So we just know it. They were illegal guns. 111 so far. I'm wondering what the county is now. Who's taking these guns from these kids? We had a gang task force. Why we don't got a gun task force?
The question is, how did the kids get the guns in the first place?
Well, brother, they getting them through mail. They getting them through the mail.
Oh, okay.
They getting them through car burglary.
And then, you know, I'm going to say this.
They break in your car. You have money in there. They don't even take the money.
I'm trying to figure out
tools in there. They don't
why
take that
is
stuff.
it other
They
than...
looking for guns, man. They under your seat, in your glove box.
But I guess the question I'm asking
they are
is...
after guns. We got a 13-year-old boy that shot somebody the other day. Where did the gun come from? Mail orders.
The question that I have...
a rocket science to put them joints together.
All right. The question that I have is, why are you disarming the black community and you're not going in doing illegal gun enforcement in rural areas?
We don't. Now that's a good question, but we don't know where those guns came from. I'm sure it was probably
no, but I'm sure that there's some illegal guns.
But if hey man, look here. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Unarm them people, man, and take these masks off their face, man.
Let me do this, man. Because
are you comfortable with the mask?
I don't care. All right, let me do this, Meech. I gotta go get this last call.
I
gotta leave early today, man. We can pick it up tomorrow, bro. Good Lord willing. Creek don't rise. I hope to be here tomorrow. All right, let me get this last call. Caller, welcome to the program.
Yes, sir, Mr. Parris. Let me try to be quick. Thank you for taking my call. Assalamu alaikum. Mr. Parris, when I made it to the 9th grade, I didn't have any remedial courses. I passed all of my competency tests when I first took them. On the bell curve, I ranked above average on the bell curve. You know, it's a scale that determines how
Christopher,
smart
nobody's questioning that
be.
you're gifted and talented.
Mr. Parris, may I say this? Not only can I speak big words because those words cost a lot of money going to college, I can define them and give you the etymological origin of those words. And you should not be upset because I never speak to anything that you speak to. Let me tell you this. I'll say this. This is what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said. He said that when we were selling the Final Call, when we were selling the Final Call newspaper, it's not the paper that people turning down, it's the person. So when you're going out there trying to talk to these young boys and you're not having a meeting of the minds, it's because you are a repellent to them. They're not attracted to you. You are not a unifier. You are a divider. And you talking about me, I represent these teachings. I live for these teachings and I live on these teachings. I don't know what you live for. And I don't give a damn if your old ass eat pork. How about that?
Appreciate you, man. You did bring it up, though. All right. Let me do this. He did bring up. Yeah, you know, and it wasn't pork, it's poke. let me do. I need to get out of here a little early today, y'all. So let me thank my good brother Wayne Hibbler. Let me thank Debo, Byron. Thank you, Clark. Thank you, Jermaine. Thank you. Hey, the good Lord willing, creek don't rise. I hope to talk to everybody tomorrow. And as always, go from this place.